Okay, one last thing. I was cooking dinner, and I was listening to you, and you were talking about how Jerry loved 555, and when I looked at the clock, it was 5:55, just so you know.
So that's what we call timing. We so appreciate the introduction of that here because this is a very fine and important point that we want to make. When things like that happen to Esther, and Esther goes, wow, we say child's play. But just the same, you were a cooperative component in order to allow that timing to happen. One day, Jerry and Esther were driving one of the monster buses out across Omaha, out on those highways. And they had found a book in a bookstore of someone that they enjoyed seeing on television. And so Jerry bought the book because he liked to read to Esther while she drove. And Esther liked it too. And so Jerry's reading the book, and then he would be very silent, and Esther would say, why are you quiet? And Jerry would say, it's so vile I can't read it out loud. There were just parts of it that were, but in this book was a story inside a story inside a story. It was a very convoluted book, but here was the story in the book. These people were going to a village, and they wanted to prove their spirituality. And it was the known fact around this place that if you were bitten by the black mambo snake and you survived, you were a very spiritual person. And so many people had now been bitten by this black mambo snake that his venom was not as powerful as it once was. So every year fewer people died. But still they were using it as their status, if you could survive that. And at the moment that Jerry read those words to Esther, an 18-wheeler passed them, and on the back of it was a picture of a black mambo snake and the words black mambo beneath it. Esther nearly went crazy. She just thought, if the universe can do that. One day, Esther was driving the monster bus and Jerry was driving the tow car because they were only traveling a short distance, and so they decided it wasn't worth hooking it all up. They would just drive the two vehicles separately. And so Esther has stopped at a red light, and she looked down at her odometer, and it said 8,888 miles, 0.8. 88888. 5 eights lined up. Well, now Jerry and Esther never wanted to spend any time apart from one another, and so they were always in contact, and Esther had her walkie-talkie and Jerry had his walkie-talkie so that they could be in constant conversation everywhere they were going. And Esther said, Jerry, you are not going to believe it. My odometer says 8888888. And he began to laugh because his said 77777. How can such a thing happen? How many extra turns did you make? How big, wide extra turns did you make? How could this possibly happen? Could the human mind even begin to calculate such a thing? No. So the human mind wants to call it freaky or fluky or accidental, but it isn't. There is precision in everything. And when you start observing it, when you start believing it, when you start knowing it, when you start living it, when you start letting the universe show you how well it knows you, how well it knows you, how well it knows what you want, when you allow your inner being to play with you in these ways, you begin to feel invincible. You begin to know that there is nothing that you could not be or do or have if you wanted it. You begin to know that the entire universe is working in concert with you, and all along you've been the only thing out of step. And now you know what to do to get back in step. And as you do, that evidence of that kind of thing will just come to you all day, every day, until you will feel like that blessed being that you are, like that powerful creator who you are. Yes?
Yes. Thank you so
Yes, indeed.
much. I love you.